the listeners. Hello, everyone. This is Friendship with God, an uncommon dialogue. And I am substitute host for Nanette Kennedy today and Humanities team. And I am getting feedback from somebody. Let's see. I think it's Angela. Let me see if I can mute her.
Yeah, you have. I just unmuted myself. I have a double echo.
I have a double echo.
So everything you say,
So everything you say, everything I
repeat.
repeat.
Okay, folks. So we're back. This is Humanities team, and I am the substitute host today for Nanette Kennedy, who is actually with Neale Donald Walsch today in Denver, and we'll be reading Neale Donald Walsch. And today we are with Friendship with God, an Uncommon Dialogue. We are in chapter 15 at about page 312. It's kind of in the middle of the chapter. And this is Neale speaking. You've discussed this before, and so I get that it must be pretty important. You're saying that to be totally loving means to be totally free. Yes, and to allow others to be fully free. You mean everyone should be able to do anything they want? That is what I mean. To the degree that it is humanly possible to allow that, yes, that is what I mean. That is how God loves. God allows. I allow everyone to do anything they want. Without consequence? Without punishment? Well, the two are not the same thing. As I have told you repeatedly, there is no such thing as punishment in my kingdom. On the other hand, there is such a thing as consequence. A consequence is a natural outcome. A punishment is a normal one. It's normal in your society to punish. It's abnormal in your society to simply allow a consequence to assert itself, to reveal itself. Punishments are your announcement that you are too impatient to await a natural outcome. Are you saying that no one should be punished for anything? That is something you have to decide. Indeed, you are deciding it every day. As you continue to make your ongoing choices about this, you may feel it beneficial to consider what method you find most effective in causing your society, or anyone within it, to change behaviors. This is, after all, your presumed reason for imposing punishments. To punish for purposes of retribution, for basically getting even, will not create the kind of society you say you wish to create. Highly evolved societies have observed that little is learned from punishments. They've concluded that consequences are the better teacher. All sentient beings know the difference between punishments and consequences. Punishments are artificially created outcomes. Consequences are naturally occurring outcomes. Punishments are imposed from the outside by someone with a value system different from the one being punished. Consequences are experienced on the inside by the self. Punishments are someone else's decision that one has done wrong. Consequences are one's own experience that something does not work. That is, it did not produce the intended result. So in other words, we do not learn quickly from punishments because we see them as something that someone else is doing to us. We learn more readily from consequences because we see them as having, as something that we are doing to ourselves. Precisely, you have it exactly. But can't a punishment be a consequence? Isn't that the point? Punishments are artificially created outcomes, not naturally occurring results. The attempt to convert a punishment into a consequence by simply calling it that does not make it that. Only the most immature being can be fooled by such a verbal contrivance, and even that being not for very long. This has not stopped many of those among you who have parented offspring to use the contrivance. And the biggest punishment that you have devised is the withholding of your love. You have shown your offspring that if they have behave in a certain way, you will withhold your love. It is by the granting and the withholding of your love that you have sought to regulate and modify, to control and to create your children's behaviors. This is something God would never do. Yet you have told your children that I do it too, no doubt to justify your own actions. But I tell you this, true love never withdraws itself. And that is what loving fully means. It means your love is full enough to hold the biggest wrong behavior. It means more than that. It means that no behavior is even called wrong. Eric Siegel had it right. Love means not having to say you're sorry. That is exactly correct. Yet it is a very high principle, not practiced by many people. Well, most human beings can't even imagine it being practiced by God. And you are right. I do not practice it. I beg your pardon? I am it. One does not have to practice what one is. One simply is it. I am the love that knows no condition or limitation of any kind. I am totally loving, and to be totally loving means to be willing to give every mature, sentient being total freedom to be, do, and have that which they wish. Even if you know it will be bad for them, it is not for you to decide that for them. Even for our children? If they are mature, sentient beings, no. If they are grown children, no. And if they are not yet mature, the fastest way to lead them to their own maturity is to allow them the freedom to make as many choices as possible, as early as practical. This is what love does. Love lets go. That which you call need, and which you often confuse with love, does the opposite. Need holds on. This is the way you can tell the difference between love and need. Love lets go. Need holds on. So to be totally loving, I let go. Among other things, yes. Let go of expectation. Let go of requirements and rules and regulations that you would impose on your loved ones. For they are not loved if they are restricted, not totally, nor are you. You do not love yourself totally when you restrict yourself, when you grant yourself less than total freedom in any matter. Yet remember that choices are not restrictions, so do not call the choices you have made restrictions, and lovingly provide for your offspring and all your loved ones all the information that you feel you may have to help them make good choices. Good being defined here as those choices most likely to produce a particular desired result, as well as what you know to be their largest desired result, a happy life. Share what you know about that. Offer what you have come to understand. You do not seek to impose your ideas, your rules, your choices upon another. And do not withhold your love should another make choices you would not make. Indeed, if you believe their choices to have been poor ones, this is precisely the time to show your love. That is compassion, and there is no higher expression. What else does it mean to be totally loving? It means to be fully present in every single moment, to be fully aware, to be fully open, honest, transparent. It means to be fully willing to express the love that is in your heart full out. To be fully loving means to be fully naked, without a hidden agenda or a hidden motive, without hidden anything. And you say that it is possible for human beings, for regular people like me, to achieve such love. This is something of which we are all capable. It is more than that of which you are capable. It is that of which you are. This is the nature of who you are. The most difficult thing that you can do is to deny that. And you are doing this difficult thing every day. It is why your life feels so difficult. Yet when you do the easy thing, when you decide to come from, to be who you really are, which is pure love, unlimited and unconditioned, then your life becomes easy again. All the turmoil disappears. All the struggles go away. This peace may be achieved in any given moment. The way to do it may be found by asking a simple question. What would love do now? The magic question again? Yes. This is a marvelous question because you will always know the answer. It is like magic. It is cleansing, like soap. It takes the worry out of being close. It washes away all doubt, all fear. It bathes the mind with the wisdom of the soul. What a good way of putting that. It is true. When you ask this question, you will know instantly what to do. In any circumstance, under any condition, you will know. You will be given the answer. You are the answer. And asking the question brings forth that part of you. What if you fool yourself? You cannot fool yourself? Do not second guess this answer when it instantly comes to you. When you second guess is when you fool yourself and can make a fool of yourself. Go into the heart of love and come from that place in all your choices and your decisions, and you will find peace. It's the end of the chapter. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share, discuss?
Going into the heart of love is a powerful image, to go into the heart of love. I'm very, very impressed by that because I've done that. Today is go into the heart of love, and it's a lovely place. Thank you. I'm done.
It's beautiful, Shabana. Thank you.
have a question. What was the question?
The question is, what would love do now?
Okay, thank you.
Love would know that each one of us is a wonder of wonderful wonders.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I said, love would know that each one of us is a wonder of wonderful wonders. A wonderful mystery.
That's beautiful, Christine. Can you type it in the chat, because I've got construction going on here. There's a lot of noise where I am. Thank you.
I'm thinking of a couple of experiences I've had lately that, although I didn't necessarily consciously ask the question at the time, in one of this situations I'll share, it was prevalent as a part of my existence. So I think I lived the answer. But the other situation I'm going to share is a little more challenging. The first one that was brought to mind by this reading today was has to do with my 18-year-old granddaughter, who just came to stay with us for a while a few weeks back, and she's going through a lot of different things in her life, and we happen to have a job opening. And there was no pressure, there was no expectation. But we offered her the opportunity if she wanted to partake. And after a few days of being here and hanging around the business, she decided she would go ahead and she would take this job. And so she took it, and she'd been doing training for about a week and a half. And then she had some things that she needed to be taken to Anchorage for, and I took her to Anchorage, and we spent a couple days up there, and we got her eyes taken care of, and she went to the dentist, and she got a bank account opened, and all these things she wanted to take care of. We come back, and the next day she was supposed to come to work, and I was in the office, and I saw her drive up, and she was talking on the phone when she drove up. She never got out of the car, and then she drove away. She wasn't talking on the phone when she drove away. And about 15 minutes later, I sent her a text message, and she didn't respond. And about a half an hour after that, I called her. And by now, the business is having to deal with an employee that's missing, not showing up for work. It was a busy day at work. I had to pull in an extra person to come help. Long story short, by about 2 p.m, we're beside ourselves because she hadn't responded to anybody's texts, or and the workers here had contacted her through Snapchat, and she ended up blocking them. So, not knowing what to do, because the thing that struck me was that it seemed out of character that she would just leave us high and dry like that. Even if she was having trouble, you would think that I thought she would at least know to use her words and say, listen, I can't do this today, or I'm having a bad day, or I need a day off, or something, But she didn't. Long story short, we ended up having to call the troopers because we just didn't know what had happened to her. They did a welfare check, and she ended up showing up. And when she showed up, and didn't really seem to grasp what she had done to the business side of things. And she had friends in the driveway, and she came in the house. She said, I'm moving to Kenai, and my friends are here, and I'm just going to go pack up my room. And she packed up her room, made 2 trips to the car, and that was it. And I came home in the midst of her packing up and coming out and loading up the car. And I just stayed in that place of love. I mean, there were a lot of other emotions I could have had, and there were a lot of things I could have said. But I just stayed in that place of, what would love do now? What does she need right now? And all she needed was love. And all I could do was just hug her and tell her that, you know, I support her. I understand she needs to do what she needs to do, and watch her leave. The other situation that came to mind is one where it has to do with politics in this little town that I live in. And I was at a council meeting the other night, and there was just complete insanity going on in this meeting. And I just sat there wondering if the people sitting on the dais had this question in their head of what would love do now, how that meeting would have gone differently. And that's the place, I think, the politics, the day-to-day, the going out in the world and interacting with people, that's the place where we need to like build this question into our being and have it present whenever we're in these challenging moments. You know, where someone's like resigned and then they want to take the resignation back, and, you know, all of this turmoil. How do you stay in that place of what would love do now when you're in those challenging situations? I don't expect an answer, but I just wanted to share that. And I'm complete, and I hope somebody else has something to say.
Oh, when I'm in situations like that, I recall, like, I guess it's 35 years ago now, that myself and 2 other community development social workers sat down to have a conversation about getting recycling going in London, Ontario. And, you know, as you know, political environments often they're like corporations, they're insane. And, you know, we were told that, you know, it can't be done. And our group, we called ourselves the Thames Regional Ecological Association, and the group grew to be over 100 in strength. And we just all practice patient persistence, right? Like, you can be as crazy as you want to be, but I'm not giving up. And it took about 2.5 years, but we did get recycling going. And that little group became a model for the whole country of a grassroots movement that could work. And so when people around us are acting insane, you know, we have to be a fair witness, I think, but never give up. You know, do what your heart tells you to do. And my heart told me, and the other 2 people that sat down with me to have the conversation, that it was time to get recycling going in our community. And, you know, here where I live in Victoria, if you put stuff that can be taken to the Return It depot in your blue box, they won't pick it up, right? So just think of how much we've grown in the last 50 years. And I think we've grown in a much higher level, and still our governments aren't reflecting that. But I think that, you know, we are waking up, and we are waking up to the fact that we are made of light and we are created by love. That's who we are, and that's the only thing we could ever be. And, you know, what I've been practicing a lot for the last several months is, you know, releasing all the conditions and effects that, you know, our innocence took on in the first 7 years of our life. You know, and often people, you know, they carry that conditioning and those effects with them until they're no longer in this body. But, you know, I'm going to let them go, and I'm going to let them go every day. And I know sometimes I slip backwards, but still I don't give up. I just continue on, and that's the way I do it. So I'm grateful to you, Linda, that you choose to be in that environment, and that you're a fair witness to it. Over.
Thank you.
I mean, one of the things that every book that Neil puts out, and so many other books, it's like never, ever, ever give up. You are worthy, so don't give up, no matter what the chaos seems to be. And it seems to be, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that needs to come to our awareness, that it's impossible for it to work this way. Like let nature run her show, and stop thinking that you're separate, different, and apart from nature. You're part of nature while you're in this human form. You're a spiritual being in a human form, so do the best you can.
Well said.
Yeah, I think, Christine, your point is really well taken. And Linda, I think you were coming from the essence of our work, which is the acknowledgement of our own unknown, unconscious, as you were saying, Christine, the first 7 years of our conditioning is unconscious, and we get coded with those programs of the matrix of our culture that become the playground for change, which we see is unsustainable because it's win-lose in our culture, in the world. And win-lose, as we can see, has never gotten us clear of war or struggle or conflict or separation. It's just my experience. I see that our work, my work, I can't speak for other people, but my work is more like Linda's. It starts with the conflicts I have in my heart. And I think, Confucius said it, if you want peace in the world, you start with peace in yourself, then you have it in your family, blah, blah. I know we have the struggle in our culture, and I know it's real. And I am in awe of people that struggle at that level. But my sense is Donald's message is more about, this is the only change we can make is in here, right? And if we change this, we know automatically, like if a butterfly flies in Japan, the whole matrix that reflects that movement. And I think it's the same. This is the change that's shifting our universe, I believe, in reality. Not that we shouldn't be out there at city council meetings and Christine doing the good work of being examples for people at the level of city council meetings and politics and all that goes on. Anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. And, it's like what Neil says. Like, I learned at Brownies when I was like 6 or 7 that my work in this world is to be a role model. And both my husband and I have spent our entire careers in the service of mental health and substance use. And between the two of us, we've got like over 80 years now. And, we're getting ready to retire. But, people say, well, how could you do that work for so long? And it's like, how could I not? Like in the third dimension, it's all a matter of mental illness. It's just a matter of degree, right? And I have deep, deep compassion for, people that, extremely creative people that you try and fit into boxes. If you ever go to a mental hospital, it looks like a museum of fine art. And it doesn't work. Like each of us is a unique expression of the divine. And we're programmed in our very early years to think that we have to conform instead of just be who we are.
May I? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I need to do the meditation right here, right now, if you'll allow me, Linda, because what you and Christine are doing with this quivering of your voices and the deliberate, intentional decision to not only change your hearts, but to set the 3D example. This is really powerful because I think the Donald that Joyce was referring to might possibly be your president, but I could be wrong. Shake your head if I'm wrong. Okay, good. So, oh, all right. All right.
I didn't have Donald Trump in mind, no.
Oh, okay. Here is what I'm understanding about love is that it speaks much louder than any Donald ever could, ever will, ever has. That it speaks at the soul level, and like a butterfly, the whole matrix everywhere shifts as soon as it happens. So I would like the meditation to be about empowering everyone who deliberately makes the choices that Linda and Christine have made. Linda, you could have set quite an example to the staff by saying, "You're fired," but you didn't. And they heard what you said much louder. That here is a compassionate, tender-hearted boss who only sees the best, sees nothing else, and now I'm responsible for doing better. It's just like Donald Trump is making everyone react and turn the other way. So that's the meditation, if it's okay with everyone. Almighty God, you are love, you are joy, you are freedom, and all of this is right inside our own hearts. All we need is the intention to declare and fulfill it, because we are determined to speak louder with our hearts than any word or action could ever speak. Amen.
Thank you, Shabana.
Thank you, Shabana.
You're quite welcome. Thank
It's
you,
like
and
that
Christine,
children's-
for what you shared.
It's like the children's song, "Open up your heart and let the sunshine in."
Also, the children's song that my son used to sing is, "Love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more."
Yes, that's true. Are we going to start another chapter?
If the discussion is winding down, absolutely.
I just have a warning for everyone. watch out, peace and love are coming.
Before I start the next chapter, there's something it seems timely to share. I don't know if anybody on the line is familiar with a woman by the name of Margaret Wheatley or Meg Wheatley.
Yeah.
You are, okay. So she's worked, for the people that don't know her, she's worked in the field of organizational management behavior, group behavior, for over 40 years. And she's probably someone that you would call a change leader. And I was just recently, I think I'd heard of her years ago, but recently I was reintroduced to her. And I was informed of a shift that she's made in her approach to change and being a change agent. And basically what she's saying at this point is that you can't change a system once it's emerged. And the reason I bring that up is because we are all basically change agents. By being light workers, by being love agents, by being agents of peace, whatever shoes you're wearing in this realm, we're change agents. And depending on our technique and our approach and our philosophy, we may very well be in a mode where we're trying to change this system that we're in. And the system that I'm referring to is the system of, at this point, corporate greed, capitalism, narcissism, self-service. That's the system, the massive system that seems to have really not only emerged, but taken stronghold on this planet right now. And so what she's saying is that if you think you're going to change that, you're mistaken. And at first that can seem like a really disheartening message, because it's like, well, wait a minute, what are we working for then? I mean, if we can't change this, what are we doing? How do we move on? And what she suggests, and I just love this phrase, is that we create, rather than trying to go out and change the world or save the world, create islands of sanity. In your local realm, create islands of sanity. And then what she suggests is, after we've created these islands of sanity, using sort of a biomimicry term, you create then corridors between these islands of sanity that then allow you to connect up between the different islands and grow larger. And I don't want to get all hung up on it, but I just wanted to share that concept that at this point, and she gives 3 things to focus on: relationships, thinking, and self-care. And that those 3 things are like the top 3 things that we should be focusing on: our relationships with each other, bringing thinking and teamwork back into the workplace, and then making sure that as a leader, as an individual leader, that each of us has a self-care practice where we're doing our meditation, where we're connecting back with spirit, because it can be discouraging work and frustrating work. And so to avoid that, if you have a good practice, a strong practice of meditation, and if you have good relationships, then you'll be able to continue to create an island of sanity wherever you are. And I know I've said on other calls, it's the framework for the new world is in place, and only the people who can see it can build upon it now. And we shouldn't worry about the people who can't see it. Just create your island of sanity, and the rest of it's going to come together eventually. So So with that, unless there's questions or comments, we'll go on to chapter 16.
So I just want to say that, you know, I feel that we live in a lawful, loving universe, and the universe opens flowers in their time, and that's what gives them time to grow, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And everything is absolutely perfect, exactly as it is right now.
Yeah, in this now moment.
Mhm.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing that. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful what Margaret Wheatley has said. Thanks for sharing.
And you feel free to look her up on YouTube. She's got a lot of short videos, 5-minute videos that are very interesting and encouraging.
Great, thanks.
She always focuses on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
She sees the good.
Yeah. Joyce?
Bucky Fuller said it. He said, you can't change what is. You have to leave it. You have to create. And I believe that's what Meg Wheatley and you have said about her. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
The creative movement away from what's unchangeable, unsustainable, and is destroying us. Because we can't have any power over it. We can only create an alternative with the source if we're so fortunate. Yeah, that's what you all know, or maybe some of you are taking Barbara Marx Hubbard's 52 weeks of co-creation.
I am. Are you, Joyce?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see you in the field there. I didn't know you were part of that group.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's 400 of us. How would we know?
Yeah.
We just formed our small group, Christine. So there's 4 of us getting to know each other.
Nice. I've worked with the oneness community for the as you know from the recycling, my passion is the environment. So
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I just want to say that it's so exciting. I mean, these times are even more exciting because I'm starting to see how blind I was. And, when the light comes on, suddenly you're not bumping into things. Like I'm just thrilled with myself.
I love that imagery. When the light comes on, you're not bumping into things.
Yeah, and all that you and Joyce and Christine have shared makes what we're reading here look a little out of date. And not really, but it's many years old now.
Well, I understand what you're saying, because I think that for the last, however many years, I think most light workers and messengers and spiritual teachers and all of that, I think that we've been operating under this assumption that we were changing the structure. And so to have the realization of, no, you don't change an existing structure, you have to create a new structure. And actually, in that council meeting the other night, I mentioned this. I talked to them about this. And some of the feedback that I got afterwards was that they were like, oh my God, we have to rewrite all the city code and it's going to be, and it was like, no, not necessarily. That isn't necessarily the new structure. And for example, I think I've told you guys that this town endorsed the structure of We Love Us, and they made a proclamation that they are a We Love Us community, and then they've proceeded to do everything that doesn't fit into that structure at all. There's no transparency, there's no honesty, there's very little love, there's no forgiveness. I mean, it's just like, And so that's what I was saying to them is that, look, you've already got the new structure. We love us is the new structure. It's 8 ways to organize and to exist. That is the new structure. And all you have to do is follow it. You don't even have to create it. It's already been created for you. At which point, a couple of the council members were like, oh. So the doors are starting to open. And the concept is starting to at least take hold in this little town. And I think in other little towns around the country, this kind of work is being done. So the new structure actually already is out there. We just have to start using it.
Well, your name is Lamp, Linda. And the reason they're seeing it is because you sit there and radiate light. They're kind of stuck, aren't they? And you see, the whole problem originates with one's own heart, your personal heart, if it doesn't love itself. I love me. It doesn't yet exist, but you're sitting there like a lamp. I'd call you a lighthouse, not a lamp. So the poor things are kind of stuck. I mean, they'll have to love themselves and stop projecting this negativity round and round. But that's how I see it anyway. Having been the darkest, personally, I know these things.
What do you think? Should we get 10 minutes in here on the next chapter?
You're here. Let's do it.
Okay. Chapter 16. This is Neil speaking. What does it mean to be totally accepting, blessing, and grateful? These last 3 of the 5 attitudes of God are not quite as clear to me, especially 3 and 4. To be totally accepting means not to quarrel with what is showing up right now. It means not to reject it, or throw it back, or walk away from it, but to embrace it, hold it, love it as if it were your own, because it is your own. It is your own creation with which you are well pleased, unless you are not. And if you are not, you will resist owning what you have created, and what you resist persists. Therefore rejoice and be glad. And should the present circumstance or condition be one which you now choose to change, simply choose to experience it in another way. The outward appearance, the outward manifestation, may not be altered at all, but your inner experience of it can and will be changed forever, simply out of your decision about it. Remember, this is what you're after. You're not concerned with outer appearances, only with your inner experience. Let the outer world be what it is. Create your inner world as you would have it be. This is what is meant by being in your world, but not of it. This is mastery in living. Let me get this straight. You should accept anything, even those things you disagree with. Accepting something does not mean refusing to change it. In fact, the opposite is true. You cannot change that which you do not accept, in yourself especially, and outside of yourself as well. Accepting everything, therefore, as the divine manifestation of the divinity within you. Then you declare yourself to be its creator, and only then can you uncreate it. Only then can you recognize, that is, know again the power within you to create something new. To accept something is not to agree with it. It is simply to embrace it, whether you agree with it or not. You would have us embrace the devil himself, wouldn't you? How else could you heal him? We've had this exchange before. Yes, and we will have it again. Over and over will I share with you these truths. Over and over will you hear them until you hear them. If you catch me repeating myself, it is because you are repeating yourself. You are repeating every behavior, every action, every thought which has brought you over and over again to sadness, to misery, to defeat. Yet the victory can be won, the victory over this devil of yours. Of course, there is no devil. As we have also discussed many times before, we are speaking metaphorically here. How can you heal that which you will not even hold? You must first hold something firmly in your grasp, firmly in your reality, before you can let it go. I'm not sure I understand. Help me to understand that. You cannot drop something you do not hold. Therefore, behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy. God is totally accepting. Humans are very expecting. Humans love each other, except when those do this or do that. They love their world, except when it does not please them. They love me, except when they don't. God is not expecting. God is accepting of everyone and everything. There are no exceptions. So being totally accepting sounds a lot like being totally loving. It's all the same thing. We use different words to describe the same experience. Love and acceptance are interchangeable concepts. In order to change something, you must first accept that it is there. In order to love something, you must do the same thing. You cannot love the part of yourself that you claim is not there, that you disown. You've disowned many parts of yourself that you do not wish to claim. In disclaiming those parts of yourself, you have made it impossible to totally love yourself, and thus to totally love another. Deborah Ford wrote a wonderful book on this subject called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. It's about people who are seeking the light, but don't know how to deal with their own darkness, don't see the gift there. I recommend this book to everybody. It can change lives. It explains in very clear and understandable terms why acceptance is such a blessing. It is a blessing. Without it, you would be damning yourself and others. Yet through love and acceptance, you bless all those whose lives you touch. When you become totally loving and totally accepting, you become totally blessing. And this renders you and everyone else totally joyful. Everything flows together. Everything connects to everything else. And you are beginning to see and to understand that all of the 5 attitudes of God are really one and the same. They are what God is. The aspect of God that is totally blessing is that aspect which condemns nothing. In God's world, there is no such thing as a condemnation, only commendation. You are all to be commended or commended for the work you are doing, for the job you are doing, getting to know and experience who you really are. Whenever anything bad would happen around my mother, she would always say, God bless it. Everyone else would say, God damn it. But my mother would say, God bless it. One day I asked her why. She looked at me as if she couldn't quite comprehend how I could ask the question. Then, with love and patience of one explaining something to a small child, she answered, I don't want God to damn it. I want God to bless it. That's the only thing that will make it any better. Your mother was a very aware person. She understood many things. Go now and bless all the things in your life. Remember, I have sent you nothing but angels, and I have brought you nothing but miracles. How does one go about blessing things? I don't understand what that's about, what those words mean. You give something your blessing when you give it your best energies, your highest thoughts. I should give my best energies, my highest thoughts to things I hate, like war, violence, greed, people who are unkind, policies that are inhumane. I don't understand. I can't give those things my blessing. But it is precisely your best energies and your highest thoughts which those things need if they are to be changed. Do you not understand? You change nothing by condemning it. Indeed, you literally condemn it to be repeated. I am not to condemn wanton killing, rampant prejudice, widespread violence, unchecked greed. You are to condemn nothing. 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 Have I not sent my teachers to tell you, judge not, and neither condemn? I'm going to stop here because it's, I think, as good a place as any. Hang on, I have to call.
Beautifully read, Linda.
Yes, thank you
Oh,
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. This is a good place to stop because I think we can meditate for the week on condemning things and how not to condemn things and how to be accepting of everything that shows up.
Yeah.
You mean
Exactly.
commending everything that shows up?
Yeah,
Well, when you condemn anything, then you're condemning yourself, right? And that's what that
exactly.
chapter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd just like to commend everyone here for showing up.
Yay.
Yeah, let's commend away.
Thank you, everybody. Good to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Beautiful
much.
to be with you today.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Linda.
very beautiful.
Thank you, Shabana, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. Love you
And-
all.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love you all.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.